My classroom is kind of bare because it's the end of the year and we're breaking down our classroom, so it looks a little sad behind me. Okay, suffix S. So when I first introduce suffix S, I don't start with words written down. I start with words orally. And this is great if you're doing it with your whole class, because then everyone can participate no matter where they're at in their reading journey. So how I start is I might hold up a book and say, what is this? It's a book. Okay, a book, one book, book. And then I'll hold up a few more. Say, well, now what do I have? Well, now you have books, books. So I hear books. What's different between book and books? What do you hear? Well, they might say they hear s at the end of book. So that's what I'm going to point out, that, okay, so our main word is book. This is going to show all my meanings. When I say book, I can picture in my head a book. And then when I add the sound s to book, books, it's just one sound, but I already know what that means. You know, you might not know the exact number, but if someone says books, you know that they mean that there's more than one. Okay, so now let's do another example. What do I have here? I have a pen. Okay, so that tells your brain, when you hear pen, you're just thinking one pen. But then if I say, can you hand me those pens? You know that I'm saying more than one pen. You know, I can say that 2 pens, I can say specifically how many, but even if I just say pens, you know that I mean more than one. So let's listen for that word, pens. Do you still hear the word pen when you say pens? Yes, we still hear it, but what's different about pen and pens? Well, I hear that z sound at the end of pen. So it can be z or s. Those are the sounds we hear, but they both tell us that the person who's talking means more than one. Or when we're communicating, we're saying that we want more than one. You know, you could do a fun example like bring in a cookie, and then it makes a big difference if I'm saying, here, have a cookie, versus have some cookies. That tells, you know, little kid brains like, ooh, I get more than one cookie. So that's kind of fun to use that example. Or, I mean, I don't know if we can bring candy into school, but something like that will really hit it home like, oh, I don't even have to say a number. If I add that sound to the end of the word cookie, you know I mean more than one. So you could have some other examples, like I just have some just classroom stuff around. Clips would be another one, or lids or caps, whatever you call these, lids, caps, to the end of the word. So again, I'm just starting orally and really having them connect to meaning, because I want them to consciously know what they're doing when they add that sound s or z to the end of a word. And then from there, I'm going to introduce the concept of a base word. You know, I'm using this hand motion, and I'll say things like, oh, our main word, or that's the word. And then I'll say, that's called a base. So you know, these seem like they're terms that are really confusing for kids, but if we really roll it in there like that, it's not as confusing. So I have my base, book, book. And then I'm adding what's called a suffix, s, books. That sound you hear, and we're going to learn more about what a suffix is, and that there's actually lots of them, and they're added to words, and it slightly changes the meaning, but the main word stays the same, but it tells us something different depending on what that ending is. So that's how I introduce suffixes.